hard to follow up those two really good presentations, but I'll give it my best shot. So, buzz or the new buzz? So, I wanted to talk to you about the transformation of the transport system. I think, to be honest, the transportation system has been on an innovative lock-in for quite some time. I mean, sure, we've seen some new vehicle technology like electric vehicles and electric buses, and I know my boss is not liking this right now, but that's just incremental technology. But luckily there is something that is seeping through. There is something that's really transforming our transport system. And it's not even about transportation at all. It's actually about access over ownership. It's about on-demand services. It's about decentralization that blurs the line between what's public and what's private. And it's about bringing everything together seamlessly. It's about mobility as a service. And mobility as a service, at least for me, it's about looking at why people need to travel and try to come up with innovative solutions to solve those needs that may not need to involve travel at all. So, what is it exactly that is driving this transformation? There's two main key drivers, with urbanization being the first of them. And we're seeing that in cities we have less available space, and it's quite expensive space. So if you consider that a parking spot here in Gothenburg takes 500,000 crowns to build, that's quite a lot of money that's being put there. And it's competing with, for example, building apartments. The other good thing about urbanization, though, is that it means that we're getting denser and denser, so that we have a critical mass of users that can share different transportation assets, and that didn't happen before. Of course, then we have what is climate change, which is our humanity's biggest challenge so far. And luckily, mobility as a service allows us to do less with more, because our big consumption patterns means that we have an excess capacity. We have a lot of vehicles that we can now share and access between so many of us. And we can turn that asset that we had as an individual into something that we can make money out of when it's standing still. And then finally, but not least, it's millennials and ICT. Millennials don't want to own things, they want to access things. We want things to be personalized, and we want it to be given to us when we want it. And ICT not only allows for that, but it allows also for big data analytics that give us predictive power to actually make these services unique. So, I think mobility as a service is a little bit hard to define, so I will try to do that through examples. And here we've managed to put these examples in a set of service levels, beginning with maybe the least complex, we could call it, but it's simplified car ownership, like what Audi Unite is having. It gives you access to a car without necessarily having to own it, and you can also share it between your neighbors. Then we have peer transportation. Some of us just want to get there, and we want to maybe share the rides, and we have an extra seat in our car, so why not? We see Uber and Hurtgruppen in this area. Some of us actually just prefer to access a car, but having it be provided to us by a company so that we feel safe. So we have car sharing for that. And then we have multimodal planners that can actually integrate all the different services and help us plan our trip in case we want to combine the bus with the car rental, etc. And then we move on a little bit more into what is combined mobility services. We're going to be hearing more about the projects such as UbiGo, where actually we have packages that are tailor-made to specifically meet your mobility needs. And then we also have integrated public transport. This is at a bigger systems level. This is actually how cities are accessing ICT and making a platform that delivers all those unique services and to the users that are on-demand services. And finally, we have mobility broker, and an example of that is density, which I will talk further on. So of course we have a lot of benefits for all the sectors. In the case of the users, we have that it's for us, it's something that is personalized. It's based on our unique needs. Again, why do we need to travel? It's something that is, we want it to be seamless, we want it to be real time, and of course we just want it to simply work. So here we have the Audi Unite example, where you can share a car between your neighbors, and Audi takes care of that. It's equitable payment between all of us, or all of them, that there's service being provided for the car, etc. So it's a little bit of owning a car, but with people that you feel comfortable. Then you have peer-to-peer solutions. Like I said, we can share a car when we're going from Gothenburg to Stockholm. Maybe we have 3 extra seats and we want to talk with someone on the way there. So we can just offer it to someone, and it's a way of doing it that's a little bit more safe than just helping someone and just having them ride with you, you could say, because it's done through an app, so it's more secure. Then we have the public sector. I think the public sector is one of the ones that has the biggest benefits, because the public sector can manage their assets more effectively in this way. They can allocate their resources, like the fleet of buses, based on real-time demands. And they can therefore also lower the traffic incident in a city. And it helps with advanced data. An example of that is the Hamo from Toyota, which is being tested in Toyota City, but also in France. And for the user, it gives you the benefit that it shows you which is the best route to your destination, and that may or may not include a car. But it also, for the public sector, it tells you, okay, now you actually need to deploy more buses, or now you have an excess of buses, so you can take them back. And of course, we need to make money out of this, so there's some benefits for the business sector. One of the main benefits that I think is that it opens up for new transport services. Things that didn't exist at all before are now suddenly available. And for the current players in the transportation system, it gives them ways to developing new and innovative solutions for their services. Luckily, there's a decrease in entry barriers for newcomers, so that means that we've seen that MaaS is actually dominated by new venture creation. And in the end, it's just simply smart, easy transport connections to get us to work. So here we have an example. It's of a company, a current transportation company, adding new services like Volvo that they can deliver to your car now, thanks to their new smart wireless key. And then here we have an example of a diversity of startups found here in Sweden that have to do with transportation, of course, but there's also some that are quite interesting, like Taskrabbit. Taskrabbit is actually, it helps you with tasks, like it says. So maybe picking up your kids or walking your dog. So all of a sudden, you needing to transport yourself to home to walk your dog has a solution for it. And like our Suzanne was saying before, we now have a game that has no end. So we have ecosystems innovations. We can see that since we're not looking at specifically the vehicles or transport, but we're looking at why we're traveling, we can come up with really innovative solutions that we didn't really think about at all. All of a sudden, partnerships like Uber, Mag.se, and Helpling makes complete sense. Why wouldn't you want someone that drives a Uber car to pick up your groceries and bring it home? You have also cooperations like car companies using Uber to actually promote and introduce their vehicles. Tesla and Audi are doing this. And then of course you have the cooperation between the public sector and something that's a little bit blurry, that people sometimes say, well, Uber, isn't that maybe not a legitimate service? But it can be. There's no need to actually put one in front of the other. It can collaborate. And here we can see that in Portland and in LA and in many other cities in the US, they're actually starting to cooperate. So the public sector is bringing on Uber into their services. In Portland, there's 25% of the Uber travels are actually to bus stations. In LA, 16% of the trips end somewhere near the metro. So we can see that there is a gap that can be filled by these new transportation systems. And now I would like to take some time to talk to you about our current projects. Density is right here in our backyard, Frihamnen, and here we're going to look at how we design a city from the ground with mobility as a service to be able to give 100% accessibility without necessarily having to own a personal car. And we're going to be doing this at a systems level and offering mobility as a service both on a physical and a digital platform. And finally, we also have sustainable attractive stations that looks into the same, but looking into smaller communities. So, for example, Lerum is one of the ones that we have here. How do we design ICT services to meet the transportation needs at the suburb levels as well? Thank you so much.